If, like me, you're a fan of random, interesting facts, then you probably already know this one. The blue whale is the biggest animal on the planet. You may also know that the blue whale isn't just the biggest animal alive today. As far as we can tell, it's the biggest creature that has ever lived. Bigger than any dinosaur. Bigger than any prehistoric reptile. Bigger than anything that has ever walked, swum, or crawled across the surface of this planet in nearly 4 billion years of life. But unless you're an especially obsessive fact collector, and honestly, no judgment if you are, you might not realize just how utterly, absurdly, rule-breakingly gigantic these animals truly are. This graphic shows the heaviest creatures that have ever lived. Now, there's some debate about the exact weights of many of the contenders here, especially those that went extinct millions of years ago. Fossils don't come with bathroom scales, after all. But broadly speaking, this is the Hall of Fame of the most colossal animals ever to have existed. We know the blue whale tops the list. But where exactly do you think it fits on the graphic? Here, maybe, or here, perhaps? Well, actually, that's not even close. Because the blue whale isn't just the heaviest animal that ever lived. Remarkably, it's roughly double the weight of any other animal in history. Let that sink in for a second. Scientists estimate that tens of billions of individual species have existed since life first appeared on Earth. And the biggest of them all isn't just slightly ahead of the competition. It's not a narrow victory, it's a landslide. The blue whale outweighs the runner-up by a factor of 2. So what on earth is going on here? Why is the blue whale such a ridiculous anomaly? Until surprisingly recently, scientists had absolutely no idea. The blue whale's immense size was a genuine mystery, a biological outlier that refused to be neatly explained. Why is the blue whale twice the size of any other animal that ever lived? To answer that question properly, we're going to have to go on a bit of a journey. Now, back to whales. Chances are, you've seen footage of blue whales in the wild. But as you may have noticed, those pesky whales live in the ocean. And in the vast majority of footage we've seen, there's nothing else in the frame to help contextualize their size. No buildings, no trees, no people, just a vast, empty ocean. So let's ground this in some numbers. The largest blue whale ever reliably recorded was so big it honestly sounds made up. 33 meters long. That's roughly the length of 3 London buses lined up bumper to bumper in a traffic jam. Or, if you prefer vertical measurements, about the height of an 11-story building. As for weight, well, unsurprisingly, nobody has ever managed to coax a fully grown blue whale onto a set of bathroom scales. But upper estimates suggest the largest individuals may weigh around 250 tons. That's about the weight of the Statue of Liberty. A blue whale's heart is the size of a small car. Its tongue weighs as much as 50 adult humans. Its largest arteries are wide enough for a child to crawl through, and at roughly 3 meters in length. Yes, its penis is bigger than you are. I'm reliably informed that size doesn't matter, but you've got to admit, that's still pretty impressive. Blue whales also produce one of the loudest sounds in the entire animal kingdom. At around 190 decibels, their calls are louder than the engines of a jumbo jet and can be heard more than 1,500 kilometers away. These animals are so enormous they're almost suspicious. Like a blatant glitch left behind by whatever game developer coded our universe just to see if we'd notice. But for the sake of this video, let's assume blue whales are actually real. If that's the case, we need to answer the 250-ton question. Why are they so absurdly gigantic? To answer that, we need to travel back in time about 50 million years to what is now Pakistan. There we might meet this little guy. Its name is Pakissatus. Pakissatus was a small, hoofed quadruped about the size of a wolf. It spent most of its time skulking along riverbanks, probably hunting small animals and fish. And if you're wondering why I've blown our entire time travel budget on what looks like a wolf-deer-hippo hybrid, allow me to explain. Pakissatus was a whale. No, I haven't started smoking tea leaves again. Pakissatus was the first whale, the great-granddaddy of every whale species alive today. Over the next 10 million years or so, its descendants became increasingly aquatic. Limbs turned into flippers. Bodies became streamlined. Nostrils migrated up the skull. By about 40 million years ago, whales were fully committed to the ocean. Then, a few million years later, their lineage split cleanly in two. On one side were the toothed whales, active predators that hunt squid and fish using echolocation. On the other side were the baleen whales. They traded sharp teeth for baleen, long, horny plates made of keratin that hang from the upper jaw and act like a giant sieve, allowing whales to strain food from water. To oversimplify things a bit, you can think of toothed whales as traditional fishermen going out with a rod and catching one fish at a time. Baleen whales, on the other hand, are more like industrial trawler ships. Their mouths are vast nets, capable of devouring entire schools of prey in a single gulp. Fast forward to about 10 million years ago, and a new lineage of baleen whales appeared, the rorquals. Rorquals had a few key adaptations that other baleen whales lacked. Their jaws were loosely hinged and could open incredibly wide. Their bodies were lined with long pleated skin folds that allowed their throats to balloon outward, Kirby style. Together, these adaptations unlocked an entirely new ability in the whale skill tree: lunge feeding. Rorquals would accelerate toward dense swarms of prey, then open their jaws like a biological bear trap, engulfing a volume of water roughly equal to their own body mass in a single gulp. They'd then push the water out through their baleen plates, trapping the food inside. Lunge feeding opened up a whole new menu. It allowed rorquals not just to vacuum up plankton, but to actively hunt faster-moving prey like fish and krill. At the time, nobody realized what this would eventually lead to. Mostly because nobody was alive. But with lunge feeding, rorquals now had all the tools they needed to become the undisputed heavyweight champions of Earth. It just didn't happen immediately. Rorquals only became truly gigantic around 5 million years ago, and here's the strange part. This sudden burst of gigantism happened across all rorqual species, almost simultaneously, and over a surprisingly short period of time. For years, this baffled scientists. Rorquals were diverse. They had different diets, behaviors, and habitats. So what could possibly have happened 5 million years ago that caused all of them to balloon in size at once? The answer lies in something called oceanic upwelling. When strong winds sweep along a coastline, they don't just push surface water along with them. Thanks to Earth's rotation, the Coriolis effect, that water is deflected away from the coast. And when surface water moves offshore, it has to be replaced. So cold, nutrient-rich water rises from the depths to take its place. That's upwelling. And about 5 million years ago, due to shifts in climate and geology, upwelling intensified dramatically across the world's oceans. This was an absolute game-changer. All those nutrients fueled massive phytoplankton blooms, which fed enormous populations of zooplankton. Krill and copepods flourished. Fish populations exploded. From an evolutionary standpoint, rorquals found themselves in the perfect place at the perfect time. Lunge feeding suddenly became outrageously overpowered. So that explains why rorquals got big. But it still doesn't explain why one rorqual, the blue whale, is twice the size of any other animal that ever lived. And here's the missing piece of the puzzle. It's laughably small. Blue whales eat krill, almost nothing else. Krill are tiny, but mouthful for mouthful, they're the most energy-dense food source in the ocean. They gather in unimaginably vast swarms, sometimes containing up to 30,000 individuals per cubic meter. In a single lunge, a blue whale can swallow half a ton of krill. That's roughly what a human eats in an entire year. Krill are abundant, but only seasonally. Blue whales gorge during summer blooms, then migrate thousands of kilometers to warmer waters, surviving months with little to no food. That feast or famine lifestyle strongly favors size. Big mouths make feeding more efficient. Big bodies store more energy. Evolution gave blue whales problem after problem, and the solution to every single one was the same. Get bigger? The result? The biggest animal that has ever lived. But this level of specialization comes at a cost. If krill populations collapse, blue whales are in serious trouble. And unfortunately, that's already happening. Climate change, ocean acidification, pollution, and industrial fishing are all threatening krill populations. Krill eggs are especially vulnerable to increasing ocean acidity. Blue whales were nearly wiped out once already. Industrial whaling reduced their numbers by 99% in the 20th century. They survived. But whether they continue to do so depends almost entirely on us. The age of giants isn't over. It's swimming beneath us. And its future is in our hands.